Good morning, friends. We are going to talk about 11 things you need to know about growing sunflowers, and number 10 may surprise you. All right, let's talk sunflowers. You know, there's just something about sunflowers that just makes summer. They scream summer. Sunny days, warmth, heat, bright and cheerful colors, all of the above. And they can be one of the easiest things to grow in your garden. You just need to have a few guidelines that will help you to be successful with them. So if you've ever struggled with sunflowers, growing sunflowers in your garden, then maybe one of these tips, hints, tricks, whatever will help you to have a successful season. So first of all, sunflowers. Yes, sunflowers. It says sun for a reason, right? They need full sun, no compromises. Now I want to jump in here and say, because some of my other 10 points to know about certain things, people will say, I've grown this in complete shade and it's worked for me. You know, the guidelines are just that. Guidelines kind of give most people the best bang for their buck, but there are circumstances, like the one with delphiniums. There was a garden friend down in the valley, 9B, very hot summers, that she grows her delphiniums in shade. Now, most likely, they will get some morning sun, etc., but the high temperatures and the high UV radiation, UV light, I should say, not radiation, one of those. UV light is different at different elevations and in different areas, and that can have a bearing on how things perform for you. So sunflowers, you are most likely to get the best results growing them in 6 to 8 or even more sun a day. So I just want to throw that out there, because if you live like in El Paso where it's super hot, some things may need a little bit of shade to get through those extreme temperatures. So, all right. In lower light, sunflowers can stretch, weaken, and produce smaller blooms. You notice that said can, doesn't mean all. Just go with me on this. So young sunflowers also exhibit heliotropism. They track the sun across the sky, which helps maximize growth early on. Yeah, you will watch them turn with wherever the sun is. So many times I won't plant them along the backside of my garden, because the flowers I would basically only get to enjoy during the morning, because in the evening they would be turning to where the sun's going down. Does it mean I won't plant them there? No. It means I'm aware of that fact and I'm okay with it and I will work with it. So just know that. 2, direct sow seeds for best results. They don't like being transplanted. They develop a deep taproot very early on. So disturbing it can affect the success of your growing that sunflower. So if you direct sow directly in the garden when soil temperatures are at least 50 to 55 degrees, but best germination happens between 65 and 70 degrees. That is soil temperature, not just the air temperature. I don't know if I shared the video yet where I take my meat probe, yes, a meat thermometer, and I go out and I tested the temperature of the soil, and mine is right around 58, 60 degrees before this cold storm we had. So it'd be, neat to check it again and see right after the cold storm, before we get sun, warm days, what it is now. Okay, sunflowers prefer average soil. Not rich soil. Now this goes along with a lot of these cottage flowers I have been, featuring. And you wouldn't believe, and I have a whole video on fertilizers, but the main thing most home gardeners do wrong is they over fertilize. Would you believe that? Because you see often things promoted like, oh, add this fertilizer. When you plant, put in the starter fertilizer. Yeah. That is all marketing. It is not gardening. So just be aware of that. So I didn't say dead soil. It said average soil. So if you compost or add a little bit of compost to your soil yearly, then that could be enough. So in overly rich soil, especially high nitrogen, you'll get lots of leaves, weak stems, and fewer flowers. A simple, well-draining soil with some compost is perfect. Now the compost not only provides nutrition, but it also helps amend clay soil or sandy soil, making it better for planting all the way around. I'm gonna get my hot chocolate. My cocoa. 4, space them properly. And this matters more than you think. So crowding leads to competition for light, water, and nutrients. Small varieties, they need 6 to 12 inches apart. Large, tall varieties, 18 to 24 inches apart. Now, if you're growing like as a flower farmer, you would probably tweak that and go watch flower farmer videos for what they do and how they get them for cutting, for cut flowers. So proper spacing improves air circulation. That reduces diseases and stem strength and flower size. Number 5, water deeply but not constantly. Sunflowers are moderately drought tolerant once established. Remember, when you first plant them, they're going to need water more frequently because they're very shallow. Once they get that deep taproot and mature, then they are drought tolerant. Best practice, water deeply at the roots. Allow to dry slightly between watering. So that's where I like the moisture meter, because you can get down deeper to see where the moisture level is at. Shallow, frequent watering leads to weaker root systems because it wants to stay where the water is. So when it develops the deep taproot, then it has to come up for water. So you want a deep taproot, deep roots, because that'll help offset that top heaviness when the flowers are in bloom or developing seeds. Support tall varieties early. So this is number 6. Some sunflowers will grow 6 to 12 feet tall. Wind and heavy blooms can cause stems to topple. Stake early while plants are small, or plant along a fence for natural support. Yes, I have a 4-foot, 5-foot fence, and it's wire. And I will tie it with pantyhose strips because they're soft and stretchy, so they don't cut into stems, but then I'll support them with that. Or along here where I have my Cecile Brunner rose. So 7, watch out for pests. Now this means birds and squirrels. The biggest threat is not insects, it's wildlife and gophers. Common issues, birds eating newly planted seeds. Yes, the blue jays are notorious here for digging them up. Squirrels targeting ripening heads. I would also say with the squirrels or the gophers love to eat the sunflower seeds. So protect them as best you can. That may be, if you have a real problem, putting them in gopher cages. I am now starting a watering routine with castor oil that will chase out the gophers. I will report later on how effective that is. My friend did it. It's been very effective for him. I talked to a pest control guy. He said it is very effective. So there are things like mole max and things, granules that you can sprinkle out. You just have to keep repeating application, and that could get expensive. I bought a 2-gallon jug, I think it's outside, of castor oil, and you mix it with soap, and I have a hose and sprayer. I'll get that for you, like this. And here's where you attach the hose, and then you put the castor oil and a teaspoon of soap to emulsify, and then you set it on whatever setting you want, and then you go along and spread. And of here, the dial, when you read the instructions, it'll tell you how to use it. But I'm going to do this in my garden, and I will, like I said, let you know how effective it is. I got this one off of Amazon. I will link it if you want a sprayer like this. Some people use these for pesticides. Some use them for water-soluble fertilizers, etc. So it just divvies it out the way you want and quickly. If I had a pump sprayer and sprayed it, I'd be pumping my arm off. So yeah, I thought this would be much easier. So helpful strategies. Cover seeds with mesh until sprouted. That will help with birds and maybe squirrels not getting them. Use netting over maturing blooms if you're saving seeds. If you don't want the birds to eat all the seeds that are maturing, then yeah, go ahead and you can net them. And that way you get the seeds if you want them. I basically grow them for the flowers and the beauty, and whatever seeds come off, the birds can have. I don't collect them to eat. And there's usually plenty that reseed that they will come up. Especially, have you ever had the black oil sunflower seeds in your birdseed mix come up? Those are really pretty and they grow well. And it's very inexpensive because there's so many of them that fall. But they are beautiful too. So here's an interesting fact. Number 8. Sunflowers are allelopathic, which this is a hidden trait, and not many people know this. Sunflowers release compounds that can inhibit nearby plant growth, meaning they poison the plants nearby. This is called allelopathy, a natural chemical defense. So they have plenty of room. They want the room. They're going to kill everybody off around them. What this means for you, avoid planting delicate plants too close to these or crops if you have like a vegetable garden that you're growing them in. So there's certain plants that it doesn't bother these compounds, but there's others that are very susceptible to it. So just, you can look it up and see which ones are which. So this is great for creating natural barriers in the garden, meaning other plants won't encroach. Okay, 9, deadheading versus leaving for seeds. So it depends upon your goal. You can deadhead, which encourages more blooms on the branching type. Just keep that in mind. And then if you want to leave blooms, this allows seeds to mature for birds or for if you want to harvest them. The sun's going behind a cloud. Now it's getting cold in here. Should light my heater. I'm going to light my heater. I'm not going to freeze. Bear with me. I don't do cold. Okay, so just note that single stem varieties will not rebloom after you've cut. So if you're doing it for cut flowers, make sure you get the multi-stemmed ones. And the seed packets will usually tell you, like on there. So, okay, 10. This is the one that surprises many people. You can grow sunflowers in containers. Really. Have you ever seen the ones you buy in the store and they're like this tall? Yes. This surprises many gardeners, but sunflowers can thrive in pots with the right setup. So you want to choose the dwarf or compact varieties like Teddy Bear. These ones are called knee-high sunflowers, music box. Let me bring this up closer so you can see them. Hopefully that's focusing for you. And then let me see, I have another one here. Oh, these ones are a little bit taller, but these are called border sunflowers. And I do believe these are multi-stemmed. This was also from Renee's garden. Outstanding sunflower grows quickly, blooms early. I wanted that. Vigorous multi-branching. Deep orange, golden orange petals are arranged evenly around chocolate-colored centers. This one goes 4 to 6 feet. So you could grow it if you had a big enough container in a container, but that one I'm planning on putting in the ground. Okay, so use a container that's at least 12 to 18 inches deep with well-draining potting mix. Remember, containers do dry out faster, so you need to water more consistently and place in full sun. You know what? I have a big oval galvanized tub out there that has holes in it. I think I might use that for some of these sunflowers. I think that's a plan. So number 11, last one, timing matters more than you think. So sunflowers are photo period sensitive, meaning they bloom. Timing is influenced by day length. So to get blooms all season, sow seeds every 2 to 3 weeks in succession. This is especially for those single blooming ones, that single bloom on a stalk. That's important for that if you want to continue. The multi-branching you'll get multiple blooms from. So most varieties will bloom 60 to 90 days from seed, and it'll usually tell you on the packet. So what's the final thoughts on growing sunflowers? They are one of those flowers that give back more than you put in. really. So with a little attention, sunlight, proper spacing, watering, and if you're doing it in containers, the right size container, you can grow these blooms that help light up your garden. Well, you could also feed the birds. So we always enjoy attracting birds to our gardens because it does help with pest control. And yeah, you want to protect the first when they're first coming up from the birds, but once they get going and they attract the birds, it's a good thing. So if you're short on space, you can do the pots on. I'm going to have these ones on my back deck. And I think I'm going to put them in the same galvanized tub that I have some snapdragons in that come back every year. Snapdragons are perennial in containers for me. And so they've come back up. I had cut them back last winter, part of the winter. And then I have more that I've started from seeds. I need to get these out because they're getting just a little too gangly here. And these are apple blossom. They're beautiful white and pink. So I need to get these out in the garden desperately. It's just the last 2 days it's been raining, so I haven't been wanting to get out there. Okay, my friends, that is it on sunflowers. And I hope you enjoyed this little infomercial. No, the information we had on sunflowers. And this summer, I will share my sunflowers with you, all the ones that I grow and wear. So this is one of those beautiful things that you can grow easily, inexpensively in a cottage garden. In one of my, I think it was on the Coreopsis, no, I'm coming up with Coreopsis, the Cosmos, I asked, would you like a video or videos on how to grow an entire cottage garden, very budget friendly, from seeds or cuttings? And you all said yes. Many of you said yes. So I'm going to work on that as I get to start working out in the garden. And we're going to put things out, or I'm going to start seeds for the garden. I will bring you along. So we will look forward to that. Alrighty, I'll see you next time.